The Ace Man's spending the summer solstice in the hottest place in the nation, Las Vegas, Nevada. Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club. 2 shows Thursday, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. Lots of tickets, and they ain't gonna sell themselves. So get yours now at adamcarolla.com. If he were a philosopher, his name would be Jean-Paul Fart. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on the church. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, dumb friend. Thanks for tuning into our YouTube page. Getting lots of traffic there with our vlogs and clips and stuff. So enjoy the Adam Carolla YouTube page. Jamie Lissow is back in studio. Stand-up, actor. Tons of dates coming up. Laugh Factory coming up out here. June 20th, 22nd. And Covina. Punchline, Sacramento. You can go to Jamie Lissow, LISSOW.com. Get all the websites.
You know what's even easier?
All the dates. Yes.
I bought GregGutfeld'sFriend.com just to make it easier.
That's amazing.
Somebody did that to me.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Rudy bought AdamCarollaOpener.com over to Rudy Bovich, and it's just easier.
I had RobSchneidersFriend.com for years, and I changed to Greg Gutfeld's Friend.
You got to upgrade.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I met Rob once at the Fox News studio, and he was really sweet.
Super nice dude.
Like, really nice dude.
You know what strikes me? I mean, maybe, I don't know. You know Rob better than I because you worked on his TV show for those seasons. But so there were certain guys that used to be douchey. And Jay Moore was douchey, known as a douche in the industry. Jay's a friend of mine. Jay will be the first to tell you, yeah, it used to be douchey. And then I became nice.
Yeah.
And certain guys got the handle of douche, and they'll take it to their grave. And then there are others that were douchey early on. It's like a male thing. Rob, I think, used to be douchey, and then somehow, like, I remember, all I remember is I was filming something. I was doing a TV show, and I was asked to play in the Dodger Hollywood celebrity baseball game or softball. I can't remember. It was one or the other back then. That 2005 or 2005 or something. And I was going to, I have to bring my camera for this TV show. I was going to interview the celebrities and the friends and the guys on the team or something. And I said to Rob, like I ran into Rob and I said, can I film you for this home improvement show? I'm doing a thing. This is a segment or whatever. And he's like, no. And I remember going, yeah, you're douchey. Like, I remember you're douchey. And then years later, I run into him as the nicest guy in the world. Now, for guys, it's a chemical thing.
You think it's like a testosterone thing?
Guys are, you got to hang around long enough. Look, go to your high school reunion. See all the dudes
I was homeschooled. Why do you keep forgetting that I was homeschooled?
You know what? I should say one should go to one's high school reunion. I don't mean you, Elisha. And I do forget. But no, what I'm saying is any guy will tell you that the dude, the scary dude, the guy who's picking on everyone, the douchebag, you go to your 30th reunion, the guy's got a belly, male pattern baldness.
Man.
He wants to hug. Now, he's waxing poetic about like what a good time you guys had, but he's giving you wedgies and noogies and stuff. But yes, guys get mellow.
It's like a reverse correlation.
Well, yeah, guys get mellow, women get crazy. That's the tough part. They start women start off, they start going nuts, and then guys just get mellow. They don't want to fight and fucking do all this stuff.
I have a theory about.
So be prepared.
I have a theory about the demise of the douchedom of Schneider.
Yeah. Am I correct with this, or am I making this up?
I hear stories. So I didn't know him during that period, but I do hear stories.
You hear stories.
And I think a lot of it had to do with meeting the right woman. Because I think it's having a witness.
To your douchedom.
To your behavior. And I think she really she's the kind of person that's very direct.
Yeah.
If he was with somebody that would just let whatever go, but she's not. Like, she's the most direct This awesome
because
Mexican
English isn't her first language.
Right, that's right.
When English isn't your first language, you get to say whatever you want all the time. You go, why does everyone think you're such a douchebag? Because that's what people will say. They will say, Rob, he's a douchebag.
It totally backs up, like, behind every great man is a great woman. Mm-hmm. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. has talked about how his wife does that for him.
Yeah.
How she just calls him on his
Keeps
shit.
you honest, yeah.
It's
and
good.
Keeps you honest.
Robert, nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Did not have a douchey phase of 27 years like Rob. It was a brief
Poor Rob,
encounter.
he can't even answer for himself.
No, I'm only saying because I like Rob so much now, and I appreciate him, and I love talking to him. And in a weird way, you know, the story of the guy who was the heroin addict and living in his car and robbing, you know, going to open houses and going to the medicine cabinet and stealing. It's nice. It's a good tip, by the way. And stealing medication and stuff. That guy being sober for 8 years is a better story than the guy who never touched the stuff.
Couldn't agree. That's why I developed an alcohol problem. I have somewhere to go.
You want to be inspired. You want to inspire a group.
Does it help your stand up too? Like, you can share all of the stories about your alcoholism?
I think so. And I think there's a part of it that is you're very grateful to be where you are. And I think Rob's kind of going through that too. He's very grateful. He's crushing it. My favorite thing about Rob is watching when he first started doing stand up. They were going to see the guy from the Adam Sandler movies, the silly guy. Yeah. Was watching him sort of get political, and then watching people realize it was like the Bob Saget thing. Right. They watch Full House, go see a stand up. It's much dirtier than they expected, and I got to watch that with Rob. And, you know, people walking out, and that's, I remember one night I was setting up our merch and people were like, oh, screw this guy. And I'm like, yeah, screw that guy. Buy a t-shirt, you know? And I realized that if I sold t-shirts to all of the people that were leaving angrily, my bottom line, it was amazing.
Were they leaving angrily because they expected something?
Yeah.
They weren't getting.
They expected like Sandler style Netflix movie comedy, not stand up.
Yeah. And now his audience knows who he is. Yeah. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
No, he's morphed, for lack of a better term, into a very strong stand-up.
Oh, yeah,
We've seen him do it a bunch of times. So look, we cheer for the guy. This is not an indictment. And many, many men pass through this sort of douche
When
forest.
does it start and end? Because, I mean, your prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed until, what, 25, 26?
It can, some guys can really hang on for a while, like Tom Brady. Not that he was a douche, but he was able to stay in the league and be real douchey productive for, you know, into his early 40s. Most guys, it's connected to sort of fucking and fighting. Like when you lose your will to just pick up strange chicks at random bars and guys bump into you and you just sort of look at them and don't say anything versus getting into their face. Like it kind of dovetails into that. It's a lower testosterone, that kind of stuff. It takes a little energy to be a douche.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but if fucking and fighting, I have to fight first.
You got to fight.
If I fuck first, I get tired.
No, I'm not saying same.
Oh, you choose one?
Same den.
Oh, I see.
No, I'm saying one might be one night, the other may be several nights later.
I mean, if you fight for a girl, then you're probably going to get...
There is fucking and fighting.
I didn't know how much time we had for fucking and fighting.
So, unfinished. Anyway, I like Rob a lot. Okay, now, we stumbled onto something here, and Jamie, you live in Alaska, right? Which I think that's a nice conversation starter right there.
Yeah, I think that has been the one good thing, because I moved there because of an ex-wife. I think we talked about my kids are up there. But it does give you, you know, there's a reason a lot of comics had airplane material and jokes about that. Like, we all live the same lives. Yeah. And living in Alaska, it's a good conversation starter.
So I was saying, I've been to Alaska, enjoyed it quite a bit, did some stand-up there and fished a little and that kind of stuff. But so when we were there, I was there with Mike August, who books all the stuff, and Dawson went there as well, who you see through the screen there. And Dawson is a guy who sings, he does some stand-up, but, you know, a jack of all trades, master of none. I don't know how to call it. But anyway, the point is this. Mike August said that Dawson should move to Alaska and sort of claim it as his own, much like Don Ho did with Hawaii.
Oh.
Don Ho doesn't possess any discernible talent. Not that Dawson doesn't, but I'm just saying, I don't know what Don Ho does. He's the Hawaii guy.
Yeah.
And he didn't have a particularly great pipes, you know, he'd just go tiny bubbles in the wire, and then he hammered checks, being the sort of ambassador to Hawaii. And so Mike suggested that Dawson go to Alaska and rebrand himself Don Hodiak.
Oh, that's great.
And just the guy who's like owns Alaska. You know, it's like you can't have an event or ask any question. If a volcano goes off in Alaska, CNN's got to get Don Hodiak to comment on it, even though he's not a geologist. He's only been there for 14 months, right? But he is Alaska. And then we started thinking about songs that Don Hodiak, because you got to do a little singing. You got to tell a couple of jokes.
Hear the singing.
Well, this is kind of, you know, Dawson's forte. Singing and telling some jokes.
So I have 2 records.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hodiak's King is the name of the song. Now we had Chat GPT or whatever come up. GPT. GT. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you put some music behind it?
Yeah, AI wrote the song. Before I play this, I do want to say I experience zero pride in participating in this AI songwriting discussion. And secondly, this is a demo. It sounds as good or as bad as you would expect it to.
Okay.
So you put the music under this, though, right?
I went into the studio this morning and produced this little song.
Yeah, I always kind of want to tell people, when Dawson is talking into a microphone and you're standing next to him and you're talking to somebody else, there's a good chance we hear you, because that's why Dawson's talking to them.
That's because the microphone will amplify your voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good invention. Write that shit down. All right. Anyway, Andrew, Dawson, when he's talking to the mic, usually means we can hear other people things too.
Poor Andrew.
But all right, here we go. This is Hodiak's King, right? Okay.
Up in the land where the cold winds bite,
Oh, yeah.
where the mountains rise and the days stretch night, there's a giant in the timber. He's wild and he's free, a shadow on the shoreline just watching me. They say you ain't seen power until you stared one down, and old Don Hodiak knows this bear run town.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause Kodiak's the king of the northern wild, where the grizzlies roam and the rivers smile. From the salmon runs to the midnight skies, that bear's got fire in his ancient eyes. You can talk Montana or them Yellowstone tracks, but the heart of the wild beats loud in Kodiak.
Wow. That's Kodiak's King. That will be Don Hodiak's theme. They'll play that when they announce you on like the Tonight Show or Kimmel. That'll be the song the band gets into.
If it hadn't been about a bear, I'm from the Bible Belt, and there's like a Bigfoot festival near my parents.
Really?
I feel like you could just tell ChatGPT to change it from like the bear to Bigfoot, because it's like there's a giant in the woods.
Now, I've talked to the organizers from the Bigfoot Festival, and
they want to have you come do stand-up?
No, but they claim your parents live close to their festival, not the other way around. But all right, it's semantics. I spoke to some of the organizers before the show. They have a Bigfoot Festival next to your parents' house?
Like 30 miles away, which in the country is very close.
Wait, you didn't grow up in Bigfoot country, though, did you?
Southeastern Oklahoma. It's tip of the Ouachita Mountain Range. There's been
spottings,
apparently.
Oh, that's where they spot them.
Mm-hmm.
That's better than any song I've ever heard in Alaska.
Thank you.
I feel like you have a shot. It was. I was like, oh, it's gonna be a silly song. I had like a tear in my eye.
Yeah, no, it's
Ancient
powerful.
Bear Eyes?
It was like very like Johnny Cash vocals, like when he does the Hurt version.
Well, like North to Alaska, the song by
Can't remember.
North
to
Alaska.
Alaska. Yeah.
I mean, why is that any better than this?
It should be supplanted by Bear City or whatever it is.
Kodiak. The point is, okay, first off, we shouldn't have as much reverence for country and folk songwriters as we do, because the computer shit this one out about 30 seconds. Number
Scary.
one, we just gave it Kodiak.
But it's shitting it out because it's taking all of the recorded folk and country songs.
Here's what I want to say
in its database.
Look, I don't want to talk shit about Burl Ives, but here goes. I could shit out one of his songs. If you gave me a fucking 2 beers and a scratch pad, I'd knock that shit out in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, Don Hodiak.
Yeah. You know the Margaritaville guy?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Jimmy Buffett?
I feel like I could do 10 Jimmy Buffett songs in 10 minutes.
Oh,
yeah.
Blasphemy, guys.
Yeah.
You just take whatever happened to you that day.
Right.
And you just find anything relatable. And that's it. That escapism.
But at least
music.
they write their, it's just Jimmy writing a song, right? Like Beyonce and all the top 40 stuff right now. It's like if you look at the stream of writers, there's literally sometimes 20 plus writers on a song.
Look, the sad part is, when Beyonce has 26 writers and when Stephen Colbert or Jon Stewart win the Emmy and 31 guys come up on stage. Like, really? What do you guys all write? A quarter of a joke a week? Like, how does this matter? But believe me, I've been on writing staffs. It's 3 guys who write all the jokes, and then the other 14 people just complain and eat.
Yes.
But no one can fire them.
There's an old rule in Nashville that if you're in the room when the song is written, you're on the song. I think there is actually a case where a cat got a songwriting credit.
Was that on a Taylor
It's
Swift
totally
song?
a joke, but it was to prove the point that if you're in the room, you wrote the song.
So are we right that Dawson could go to Alaska, rebrand himself Don Hodiak, and just we would start off small. You'd be cutting the ribbon at Chevrolet dealerships and stuff on the weekend and selling
Chamber of Commerce
local
events.
snowmobile commercials and stuff like that. But eventually, you'd go national.
I would recommend, you kind of start in small. I would say he could go to Fairbanks. And just dominate. I'd give him like 7 days. And he could be doing, new ice cream shop opens.
And, especially with you at his side, like he could open for you with that song.
Oh.
Let's go, Jamie.
And then before you know it, a lot of jerky companies coming out of the woodwork. Brand. There's a jerky. There's a dip.
I can see it like on a camo hat.
Right? Yeah.
Chainsaw company.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we go like chain of honky tonks, Don Hodiak Saloon, and everything's made out of plastic and bullshit, but it's still that kind of
only
flavor
the people
town kind of shit.
who knew him when can call him Dawson. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There will be a TV show spinoff.
Yeah.
Call the saloon the Bear's Eye.
The Bear's Eye. Don Hodiak. It'd be like, the joke you'd go is, I was so drunk, I saw that bear walking toward me and only had one eye. And someone goes, Don, he was walking away. And then everyone starts laughing real hard, right? That's where you punch that in, right?
Guys, where are the script writers on this thing that we're creating?
They're working for Colbert right now, but we're going to get 18 of them away. And then he'll just have 26 left.
The Bears are all huddled up trying to find a way to survive when they run into Don Hodiak.
Yeah, and then we start the lore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? About how he killed a Kodiak once by just staring him down. Kodiak went into cardiac arrest. Like weird stuff. Oh, Indian sidekick guy.
A moose stopped charging because I asked him nicely.
Yeah. We need a street cred, which is Indian, sort of Native American dude.
He needs an Eskimo girlfriend.
Yeah, something that indigenous sort of vibe thing who get up there, and he was an eyewitness to this stuff.
A bald eagle showed up with a hairpiece just to impress him.
That's right. Write that shit down. Come on now. That's right. Yeah, he did a feather comb over just to impress Don Hodiak. Yeah, that's good.
It's open. It's open for the taking. Like that role has not
Children's
been...
books, Pilsner beers.
Oh yeah.
Liquor, all kinds
grooming.
of scotch.
He has a beard. It could be like men's
beard
grooming
wax.
line. Yeah.
Beard wax. Don Hodiak beard wax. We put it in the same containers. The dip, by the way, to save money. Obviously, we're going to change the label. But the dip. We don't have to. If you don't have to retool between the dip and the beard wax, you're fucking printing money.
There's also a third smoked salmon. It's just the same container.
That's right. It's small smoked salmon in the same
No
container.
labels. It's just whichever one.
Smoked salmon is the name of my weed line up there.
Oh,
damn.
yes, a weed line. That's right.
That's solid.
Don Hodiak, and it spins into, modular homes, like we brand, it's everything. It just keeps going. Hey, you take a look because it's untapped.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can't go to Hawaii. Don Ho already did that.
That's right.
Yeah. But Alaska.
Wide open. I'm picturing like it's just a big picture of Don Hodiak's face, and you drive into the mouth. When you go to
Of the retirement village.
Am I thinking too
that
big?
Starts up. No,
Yes.
you're not
The
thinking big
55
enough.
plus retirement village.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all there. All right, let's work on that. I think we beat it out pretty good there, fellas.
That feels good.
Do we all get a percentage for our creative input?
Well, you and the cat. You're in the room.
There you go. I'm keeping the publishing.
You ever look back and wish you'd bought Bitcoin for a nickel or grabbed some NVIDIA before it went nuts? Yeah, me too. But here's something you don't want to miss out on. Protecting your family's future. Life insurance. Well, it's like a parachute. And if you don't have it when you need it, well, you're going to be out of luck. And trust me, you do not want to be the guy who leaves their family with nothing but a stack of old concert tees, even though they got some street value. You need life insurance. SelectQuote makes it easy. No hunting through a million confusing options. Their agents shop top-rated companies to find a policy that fits your health, lifestyle, and your budget, and they do it for free. So skip one of your streaming services this month and get real peace of mind at SelectQuote.com. Don't let future you handle it. Do it now. SelectQuote.com. Right, Dawson?
Life insurance is never cheaper than it is today. Get the right life insurance for you for less and save more than 50% at SelectQuote.com/Carolla. Save more than 50% on term life insurance at SelectQuote.com/Carolla today to get started. That's SelectQuote.com/Carolla.
Morgan & Morgan. Well, here's the dirty secret. The insurance industry may want to keep under wraps. Insurance companies profit by holding on to your money for as long as possible. So, after an accident, they might do whatever they can to delay or deny your claim. This way, they can keep those profits growing. Morgan & Morgan fights hard against these corporations to fight to make sure you get every dollar you deserve. I like these guys. I've spoken to them. I think they were out of Vegas when I was talking, the folks I was talking to. Anyway, you've seen the commercials. They're all over, and it's for good reason. When Morgan & Morgan takes on a case, they're almost always going after the big insurance companies and not the individuals at fault. There's a reason why Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury firm. Am I right, Dawson?
Hiring the wrong firm could be disastrous. Hiring the right firm could substantially increase your settlement. With Morgan & Morgan, it's easy to get started, and their fee is free unless they win. Just visit forthepeople.com/Adam or dial #law #529. That's forthepeople.com/Adam or dial #law #529. This is a paid advertisement.
I don't know. Somebody tweeted me. People tweet me things they know will anger me, I think. And there's a San Francisco policeman who had the pride patch. He was putting the pride patch on his uniform because I don't know what the story is. He was doing the pride patch for his daughter. Okay, here's the thing. I just want to tell everyone everything right now. No one gives a fuck if your daughter's gay or lesbian. We don't give a shit. Trans, we don't give a shit. Just get the fuck over it. It's all narcissism. You got a gay kid? Good. Go settle it with them or your maker or nothing. I don't care. Here's my point. I don't want to know that you have a gay daughter or a trans anything. I would like you to just perform your duties, whatever. Fireman, cop. airline pilot. I didn't want to know anything about you. I don't care if you're hetero. I don't care if you want to suck occasional cock. I don't care if your fucking son is transitioning. I don't give a fuck. It's all narcissism. You shouldn't assume I want to know. And by the way, I won't tell you anything about myself and my personal whatever either, because I'm going to assume you don't care or want to know. I don't like all the Pride Month. I don't like all the Black History. I don't like any of it because it's all in the service of defining and separating. They go, we're in a big melting pot and multicultural. Okay, well then stop having separate graduations for Black students at Harvard. You know what I mean? Then stop carving.
Or study rooms.
Yeah, stop carving out separate stuff for everyone if we're all just supposed to be one big happy melting pot. Here's the guy. I guess he's from San Francisco. I'm assuming he's a douche. And he
could be a douche phase.
He took his
he's a sheriff.
Patch on a sheriff, and he swapped it out for the Super Jolly Roger, the gay flag. Now, I don't like it. And everyone is always like, what?
Oh, he has the trans, he updated it too.
He got the trans thing.
He got it all in there.
No one gives a fuck. Do your job. Here's your $63,000 a month. Have fun. Okay. Now, he said he did it, I think. Andrew told me that he said he did it on behalf of his daughter, whatever. Good. You love your daughter. I love my daughter. Shut the fuck up. Nobody cares.
Yeah, like my son's dating a girl. You don't care what they're doing, right? Behind closed doors, heterosexual or homo. I wouldn't tell you.
No, film it and I'll fucking render a judgment. I don't need to be in the room if that's what you're asking, weirdo. Me and Don Hodiak will review it.
Oh, God.
I'll use my telestrator and I know the sport. So I'll help the kid. No charge.
It's also on the uniform is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, go get a tattoo. Go get something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Tattoo a gay flag on your right ass cheek. Go ahead and do it on behalf of your daughter. So, but Andrew, you read me that he did it it's on other. I don't want it involved with the uniform, and I think people go. And Andrew, you read that he said that it was because of his daughter to me, but you can read that or you can put it I'm asking for that is what I'm.
But could you imagine the outrage? Like, people will be, oh, that's so cute. That's so sweet. But it was like, well, my daughter's in the IDF, so I got a Star of David on my uniform.
Yeah, my son voted for Trump, so he's got a MAGA hat he wants to wear on the airplane.
Doesn't uniform mean they're the same? Like,
yes.
If you're going off-brand.
Yes, uniform. Right.
Like, and supposed to be across the board, same.
Scream. Yeah, so other towns are doing it. But Andrew, whatever you read me, you'll just read me again.
They do this with the baseball uniforms, though, too. Did you see? So the Dodgers, the aforementioned Dodgers, they did this the other day where they had like all of the pride patches on their uniform hats. And Clayton Kershaw went a little rogue. He actually like crossed it out and he wrote the scripture in Exodus about how the rainbow is like representative of God's promise.
Right. Then he was killed by a foul ball later that night. So I'm steering clear of that. Okay, so here's my thing. Me not wanting you to represent the gay flag on your uniform or Black Lives Matter or anything is not me not being for or against anything. It's called a uniform. I don't want to know where you stand on anything. I just want you to be a cop. Later on, when you're not a cop and you're not in your uniform, then don the nipple clamps and have your best boy pull you through the parade with that chain in your chaps. Just do whatever the fuck you want. But while you're here, I feel the same way if you work at In-N-Out Burger or you work as a pilot for American Airlines. I don't want to know. I don't need to know, and we don't need to know. And no, diversity is not our strength. Having competent people in positions that are important is our strength, regardless of what they are, where they hail from, or what their sexual proclivities are.
What their kids choose to do.
Or what their kids do. Now, this is not a new concept for me because it has been 25 years since I started shouting into a microphone, and it started the day I went down to West Hollywood for a smart cocktail. I was taking a me day. And I saw a cruiser, a sheriff's car in West Hollywood, and that had the gay flag on the side of it. And then I got onto the microphone that night and started railing about it. And then everyone said to me, what's wrong with the representation? You can pull up tight on it. It has the colors of the gay flag, and it's jumbled on the squad car. And I said, I don't want that on the squad car. And then they said, but that's the community. And I go, I don't care. First off, it's less than 50% of West Hollywood is gay. I know it feels like 140%, but it's actually less than 50. So you're representing the minority on your car. But here's the deal. When there's no time for backup and you're running into a house, I don't care whether the guy's gay or straight, and I don't want you to care whether the guy's gay or straight. There's just an armed robbery going on, and you got the call, and I don't want the separation. I want to assume you're just doing an excellent job for the entire community, regardless of skin color, sexual proclivities, race or religion. That's the world I want to live in. I don't like the sectioning off, and ever since we started, we just got worse. Yeah, so there's nothing that says this is an effective way to govern.
Even the format of this, it looks like it says proudly serving gays.
Yeah,
with West Hollywood underneath.
Yes, that's right.
Do you ever feel like, too, whenever I see like a pride thing, I feel like it's someone going, you don't support this. You don't have this sticker. You don't have this badge. I do support the gays, but now I feel like because you're wearing a shirt, right, that I suddenly don't. Or if I don't change my profile picture to a thing, doesn't mean I don't support it.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what they want you to think, and that's what they, pound over your head all the time.
It first off, it's all roads lead to narcissism. It's just a narcissistic endeavor, number one. Number two, if it wasn't, why the fuck would you have to film yourself swapping the badge out? Right. Sheriff, hero, sheriff,
if it was
asshole.
Truly for his daughter,
then go fucking tell her. Leave me out of it,
I love you no matter what, honey.
Yes. Everyone knock it off. Just go about your fucking business, pick up your dog's poop, pay your taxes, and let's call it a life, shall we? You're super annoying with all your here's who I am bullshit. No one gives a fuck who you are. You work for the city, you make $63,000 a year, and no one gives a shit. Okay, tried to start your own business. It didn't work, so now you have to do this. All right, fine, hero. Shut up, hero. Shut up. No one wants to hear about you. And by the way, the reason that the flag is in the shape it's in, because I inquired. I go, why don't you just put a gay flag on the side of the car that the picture we were looking at? Why not just put the gay flag on there? And they didn't want to. Okay, you know what it is? It's the shape of West Hollywood.
It is? I thought it was a gun.
It looks like a gun. It shoots jizz. You give the intruder pink eye.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, did you guys know they had that? Yeah. It looks like a gay gun.
It does.
I didn't realize that was the shape of... I instantly was like, wow, this must have been 25 years ago before we thought guns and cops were bad, because it looks like the shape of a gun to me.
The shape of Hollywood West Hollywood's the shape of a gay gun that shoots jizz. You guys know that?
I never knew that.
I learned that on Jeopardy.
That's why.
Did you know that? Okay. Well, one more thing I know. So,
what is jizz?
So, I don't like it, and I have an answer. And my answer just shuts everyone up. And I said the exact same thing 25 years ago when I saw this and I started complaining about it. This is 25 years ago. It's before all the assholes with their patches and their prides and their wave. We have to designate this, or we need a gay toy aisle at Target, or before.
Oh, gosh. No, it was like the gender neutral toy aisle.
All the virtue signaling that all corporate America and all cops and all idiots and all fake heroes do, because they don't really do anything. Like, people that really do stuff don't give a shit about this. This is all the posers. But I would say, people go, what's wrong with them being represented by the community? I'd go, okay, real simple question for you. Glendale, mostly Armenian. Shall they put the Armenian flag on the hood of the Glendale Cruiser? And if the answer is no, then why not? And then thirdly, shut the fuck up.
Let's go through all of the neighborhood. Beverlywood.
Yeah. Put the Hasidim on there.
Fairfax.
Fairfax. Put a fucking dreidel. Let's put the Sabbath candles where the sirens used to be. Fucking idiots. Now, Don, there is going to be a Don Hodiak mobile. I think I can get GMC to underwrite something. It's a Yukon, something.
Or, we could kind of go the way the Oscar Mayer truck goes and just have a huge redwood tree and that just drives.
Yeah,
like
big
that.
red. Yeah, Oscar Mayer, but a big sequoia type tree.
Or the Moose Mobile.
Moose mobiles, it definitely got a ring to it. But I don't know. There are a lot of redwood trees in Alaska, though. I don't know much about timber up there, Jamie.
I know very little about anything man-related.
You comics
Timber,
don't know
fishing.
anything about timber.
No, nothing.
So disappointing.
What do you think is the number one misconception that people have about Alaska?
Well, for me, it's that where I live is beautiful.
Oh.
Because Fairbanks is not beautiful.
The assumption is it's all just like a postcard.
Yeah, it's going to be better with the Don Hodiak branding. I feel like that's going to...
Don Hodiak's going to come in there and clean up that town.
Yeah.
I don't think... See, I'm going to say there's a lumber industry in Alaska, but I'm going to go more like Doug fir, pine, and spruce.
Okay.
I don't feel like it's a redwood thing, but we have to look because we got to get the tree right. We got to get the species right before we start molding for the... for the big plastic Don Hodiak mobile.
I'm excited for this, man. You know, my car became a Moose mobile if I waited till last call.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You'll destroy everything in your path.
I was thinking about the Eagle mobile, but any speed over 35, it takes flight. So it's a little design flaw. You can't take it on the freeway. It actually goes airborne after 36 miles an hour. Yeah, what is it? So a lot of lumber. Moose, eagle,
Bear.
a
lot of bears.
Do you guys have Bigfoot up there? Is there a Bigfoot
There's been
legend?
no Bigfoots. I feel like if they find Bigfoot, it's going to ruin all the Bigfoot fans' day. I feel like it's the search.
You're
that they're
right. It's
addicted
like
to.
when I
It's like
found
the ghost hunter shows where they never actually find the ghost. It's just like, I heard something.
I felt the same way when Lance Bass came out as gay. I was like, oh, okay. Well, now who cares? I'm done. It's been something that I've been preoccupied with for like 14 years, but turn the page.
You know, Alaska is so like, building, fishing, and, guns. And this one time, a dad of my son's friend's dad, his son had a sleepover at my house, and I dropped him off at school, and the dad goes... And then they slept over at his house the next night. And he goes, can I talk to you about something? Something happened at your house when my son slept over that I'm not okay with.
Oh.
And I go, what happened? And he goes, you let him play Grand Theft Auto, like the video game. And I used to let my kid was little, and I just said.
How old was your son and the friend?
So it might have been a little young, but I had these rules.
Yeah, I had rules that were never obeyed, but yeah.
That I did walk in. They might have been 12, and I do remember my son going, Dad, I'm really sorry. I killed a bunch of cops. But they were about to take this car, and I go, we can't play this version. And so he goes, I'm very upset. I go, I'm also upset. I'm sorry. I left him for a minute. I would just let him drive. And then he goes, hey, kids had a great time this weekend. And he shows me pictures of my son holding a rifle. Killing squirrels in his garden. So
the dad who had the beef.
Yes.
About the video game.
Had put a gun in my son's hand and taught him how. And I'm not from, I don't get this. I don't know that kids that young. But he was like appalled at the fake GTA, but had them shooting. There wasn't like an adult behind him. It was my son with a shotgun.
Wow.
At 12 years old.
Did you tell
like 12
him?
gauge?
Did you tell him that all the cops had gay patches on their sleeves? Like maybe that'll soften the blow a little bit. I could feel like he would then stand behind.
I think that would solve everything.
All right, lumber out of Alaska. I want to know what they're exporting. Whoever's in that next room when I ask such a thing. All right, so the dad pulling you aside, going, "I want to talk to you about something." Is that always the scariest moment ever?
My stomach drops. So nervous. I'm trying to think. Who's this guy's wife? What have I done?
You want to know? I will tell you how to destroy anybody's psyche.
Okay.
Very easily. All right, you be Jamie.
Okay.
I'll be the dad whose 12-year-old slept over. Okay?
Yeah.
Hey, Jamie?
Yeah, hey, what's up, man?
I want to speak to you about something that went on in your house when my son was sleeping over over the weekend.
Yeah, sure. Something happened?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you a year from today.
What? But
see ya. I gotta leave.
Yeah,
you just your year would just be destroyed.
I just got one of those things with the rings on it. I rip one off every day.
Just like an inmate. Just cross off every calendar day, and then a year from now, I'll come back and tell you what I'm bothered by.
Could I get a hint?
So
As to what happened.
So I'm going to say now I got to take my son squirrel shooting. So I got to go. So
Surprised they used a shotgun for that.
For squirrel shooting?
Squirrel.
Can I be honest with you guys? I have no idea if it was a shotgun. I don't know what it was. He was holding a thing that I think things came out
I
of.
grew up around guns, and I was totally shooting by 12 years old, but my father would have, like, good Boy Scout military retired guy he would have never given a friend a gun. Actually, I don't even think I went shooting with friends unless their parents were present.
I would just like to admit,
That's
just
pretty
now,
ballsy.
you just now said to me, you go, was it a 12 gauge? And I just chose to pretend I didn't hear it. I didn't even know what to say. I don't know. It was at least 11.
Yeah. Well, gauge is one of those things with wire, at least. Gauge is one of the few things that when the number gets higher, the thing gets smaller.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, like 10 gauge wire is thinner than 6 gauge wire and metal and stuff like that. I guess it works that way with shotguns, but I don't know.
I'm going to start describing my penis using the gauge.
Use the gauge.
Yeah, I'm going to use the gauge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have a silver dollar that's only the size of a nickel if you want to use something as a reference for the pick.
I oftentimes use those airline liquor bottles.
Oh, and say this is $7.50.
I go, hey, I just got back from Costco.
I got a 750 milliliter of Tito's. It rests nicely on my hog. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Optical illusion.
Alaska's biggest exports of the top 10, wood is not in there.
No wood.
No
Really?
wood. But I would imagine because transporting
It's a long way.
is a major pain in the ass.
All
but
right. So what is it?
Zinc ore is number 1.
Hold on. Let me see.
Great.
Zinc.
That's a
I'm going to
great
work on
wood.
this. Zinc ore mobile.
Love a zinc ore.
Yeah,
My ex-wife's ring was zinc ore.
Number 2 is gold.
gold. Okay, that's good.
Frozen fish meat.
That makes sense.
Mobile. No.
Lead.
Lead mobile. No.
More frozen fish. This time it's Alaska pollock.
Oh, so like they specified the fish. Okay.
And then number 6 is miscellaneous frozen fish. I think
The
we're
miscellaneous
going towards
mobile.
fish
I
here.
think ChatGPT actually screwed up this time.
Crude oil is number 7. Number 8, frozen livers.
No, hold on. Let me try it. Frozen liver mobile. No, that's not going to work.
Number 9, civilian aircraft engines and other parts.
Mobile. No. Still
And
not
You
good.
want you're dedicated to the
number 10.
mobile?
Okay, got to pull up something. He's not going to, Don Hodiak's not going to Uber in a Camry to the big ribbon cutting at the snowmobile place.
You know, so number 10
Please be steel. Please be steel.
is more frozen fish. frozen Pacific salmon. I think we're going to have to go for a salmon mobile, and it can only travel upstream.
Oh, against traffic.
That's good. All right, let's take a break because Elisha has some news,
I
right?
do. Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that with Jamie as well. We'll do all that right after this. Simply Safe. It's important to feel safe at home. And traditional security systems, well, they only take action after someone has already broken in. By then, it's too late and too scary. Simply Safe is setting the new standard in home security. Simply Safe's Active Guard outdoor protection can help prevent break-ins before they happen. With AI-powered cameras backed by live professional monitoring agents who monitor your property and detect suspicious activity before that suspicious activity ends up in your living room. Monitoring plans start affordably at around $1 a day. These guys are a great company. They've been a sponsor for so many years here. We all use them. Dawson had Simply Safe in his apartment, and when he moved to his house, he just picked up and took his security system with him, which you can't do with traditional security system. These things have batteries that last up to 10 years, not hardwired, easy to take, modular. It is Simply Safe, right, Dawson?
You can get 50% off your new Simply Safe system with professional monitoring and your first month free at simplysafe.com/Adam. Just head to simplysafe.com/Adam to claim your discount and make sure your home is safe this year. Keep your home, your family, and your peace of mind protected with Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
This summer, Pluto TV is exploding with thousands of free movies. Summer of Cinema is here. Feel the explosive action all summer long with movies like Gladiator, Mission Impossible, Beverly Hills Cop, Good Burger, and Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Bring the action with you and stream for free from all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
This one guy came up to me after the show and he was like, "Hey, comedy guy," and I was like, "What's up, man?" You know, and he goes, "What in the heck's a studio apartment?" And so I explained to him what it was. He'd never heard of it, you know. And he goes, "Do you realize for that much money that you spent, you could get in this town like a 10-bedroom house on about 20 acres of land?" And I was like, "I know, man, but the only problem is out the front door, you gotta live here."
Jamie Lissow is on the Adam Carolla Show.
All right, Jamie's got dates all over the place. Elisha Krauss is also going to be doing the news. She has a weekly op-ed on the Washington Examiner, by the way. All right, what do we got? What's our first story?
Well, this should be unsurprising to all of us in this room that San Francisco is ranked the worst-run major city in America.
Oh, really?
Yeah, according to Wallet Hub reported it. Apparently, they measured the effectiveness of local leadership by determining whether or not a city's operating efficiency was like good or bad. Out of 148 cities in the United States, it was 148.
So it's like 148 major cities or something. Or
I didn't even know we had like 148 major cities. There's like 50 top media market, right? But so some of the cities that also were bad were Detroit, Oakland, New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore.
I was just in San Fran. It is so bad. If you've been there recently.
Yeah, I was there in May.
It's so bad. They had a sign up that said if you see something suspicious, to call this number, and I call it. I go, "Dude, I just saw somebody shit in a toilet," and so I'm not sure what is going on here. If you want to send someone,
what is happening?
Yeah. Okay. So here's, the way I like to describe it, and it keeps happening all the time, but it's a metaphor that I use, which is Jay Leno has his turbine car. It's a Chrysler car, built it in 1963. Chrysler built like 40 of them or something, and they thought this is going to be the future, this turbine jet car thing. And this is the space age. We're getting into the rocket, jet, and it just turned out it didn't work. It was just like not efficient, way too much heat coming off it. It didn't work. And so they immediately just went back to the internal combustion engine. And the internal combustion engine is basically the same engine from 130 years ago. It's just Henry Ford, Model A, Model T. Model T had, pistons and valves and connecting rods and a crank and rings and oil. It's the same thing. Ours are more efficient. They're run by computers and stuff like that, but it's the same thing. Because it just works. It's sort of like the wheel on Henry Ford's Model T is still just the same wheel you guys pulled up in. He had wood spokes. Yours is a little different. The compounds are a little better. They're puncture-proof tires now or whatever, run flat tires, but it's a wheel. I don't know who's going to improve on this wheel. I don't think anybody will improve on other things, but that's the wheel. There's a way to govern. And there's a way to govern that works, and then there's the experimental one they try in San Francisco, and that they keep trying, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And the further blue you go, the less inhabitable the city is. Now, you can go, well, why are you being a hater? And it's like, I don't know. It just doesn't, whatever this thing is, I wish we had a rocket car or a turbine car. I wish it worked. It doesn't work. Internal combustion engine. Yep. Cops, rules, regulations, cleanliness, broken window, stop and frisk if you need it. That's just what works. Well, so let's go back to that, everyone. And to me, it's like, when is the Blue City experiment going to end? At a certain point where you just go, look, just go ahead and apologize. It was a bad fucking idea. Admit you got it wrong like COVID. And let's just go back to something that works.
Apparently, the new mayor, even though it's also a Democrat, and obviously the new DA up there, are moving away from that soft on crime policies and, on drug use and all that stuff, like all the needles and crap that they hand out. It's ridiculous. But the number one city apparently was Provo, Utah. And they're saying that part of the rationale that they used for this was high school graduation in Provo is not over 91%. And they're saying that tends to typically show, like what we've talked about a lot, is it's like, what is the root structure of the city is law and order, but probably also two-parent homes that are like, yo, get your ass in school.
Yes, you must
compared to places like Los Angeles and San Francisco where maybe you don't have that happening.
Yes, you need two-parent homes. Dads need to stay at home. Kids need to be raised. And then...
By the way, Provo, Utah, that might be a 6-parent home.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
5 moms. 5 moms.
Yeah.
Shows the importance of mothers.
I never get the guys who want like 7 wives. Like, I'd like 5/8 of a wife. Like, I didn't want a whole wife. That's too much.
Can you imagine being like, honey, can I go out with the guys? Yeah, okay. Honey, can I go out with the guys?
Right. Yeah.
Just asking 5. Just one lady says, votes it down.
Yeah.
You can't go. 5 birthdays.
Can you imagine imagine the utopia of just having like 7/16 of a wife? You know what I mean? Like, I use her for some stuff, but basically I got the weekends. You know what I mean? Like, why do you want so many of these things? You know what I mean?
That's a lot. It's so complicated.
It's complicated when you get into fractions.
Yeah.
I'd take 9/16 of a wife. I think at this. Should you take 9/16 of a wife? You'd be happy.
I got married 8 days ago.
He can't say that.
Okay. Yeah, you can't say that.
No.
You can't say that.
I love my wife. She's right out there.
Yeah, get back to
Honey,
me.
Can he go out with
Get back to me. You know what? Hodiak's have a live bait tank.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Right in the lobby.
Man.
Yeah.
It's going to be the best.
The best. Yeah, when we do the ribbon cutting at the third Hodiak with the live bait tank, 7 years from now, get back to me on my 3/16 of a wife.
Maybe Provo, Utah would be a good spinoff. Like it could be the first lower 48 location.
Provo is where you franchise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to hear something really dumb about Provo? I'm not even trying to do a bit. The dry bar comedy specials are filmed in Provo, Utah. You know those dry bars?
Yeah.
I've done 2 of them.
And you've done 2 of them. And they called me up, and I knew nothing about dry bar. Keith Stubbs coming up. And he goes, they shoot it in Provo. And I go, is that like 4K? That's like better. I thought it was a type of video quality. I got to do this. They're shooting this thing in 4K in Provo. I got to do it.
That's so interesting. I wonder why. Is there like no taxes?
Why in Provo?
Or no.
Okay. So Angel Studios is in Provo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Their studios in Provo. So they bought basically the corner. One is just an old building, and they just took it and they just buffed it out with lights and cameras and whatever. And everything else in Hollywood is sort of modular. They come in, they set up, they film, and then they break it down, and then they leave. You know, like if you wanted to shoot a special in a theater in Chicago, they'd come in with a lighting package and 4 cameras and 1 roving guy with a steady cam and all that kind of. This is a big building, probably holds about 300 and change worth of people. Stage locked off, lights locked off, balcony, everything is locked off, and the cameras are there. And, they literally can just go in and shoot that afternoon.
It's brilliant, yeah.
Kind of thing. And it was probably cheap when they bought it. Their offices are next door. And so they got their own space, but the guys are Mormon, and that's kind of their town. It's clean. It's nice. It's beautiful.
Salt Lake City is actually one of the cleanest cities I think I've ever been to in my entire life.
That begs this question then, because I just got back from Salt Lake, and Salt Lake is half Salt Lake from your childhood and half dystopian weirdo.
It is, yeah.
Fuck my stepdad, Salt Lake. Trying to get me to be a Mormon. What would be the opposite of a Mormon? A bunch of nose piercings and tats and
a ski instructor.
Yeah, they went weird.
They've gone rogue.
They've gone rogue over there. There's a lot of weirdos.
Well, there's a lot of weirdos at the university I've spoken at before too.
Oh, really?
I mean, anywhere you have, like, I think a publicly funded college, you're gonna have some weirdos.
Well, what you
that are tenured.
No, I agree. What you have over there is what was interesting, because I was just in Salt Lake last weekend. So I said, listen, I'm from LA. We have weirdos, but they're sort of broken in weirdos. You guys have like newly minted fighting. You guys are rebelling. And then I've always said, like, when you take, like, the Japanese culture, take, like, Japanese men, they're either super buttoned up, thin tie, lots of bowing, or they have purple hair and a slammed Acura, and they've gone completely off the fucking plantation, right?
Where do the Yakuza fall? Are they somewhere in there?
The mafia?
Yeah.
Well, they're just a mafia. They're trying to make money. But the point is I'm just going to dovetail into this theory. I'm from L.A. Dr. Drew's from L.A. Mark Garagos, attorney's from L.A. No tattoos, no piercing, no accoutrements, no L.A., anything. The idiots who move here from these parts unknown who come here do an impersonation of a guy they think would be from L.A., and that's where you get cool dude and a tatted, sleeved up arm and stuff. They're not from here. People from here, we don't care. So what you get in Salt Lake is a bunch of people that started off with the Mormon scene and then broke away and went, I'm going fucking nuts now. And it can't be quiet. They have to go like overt. Like, here's who I am now. And so you see all the tattoos and all the ones that broke hard.
And when you break, don't your parents not talk to you anymore? I think you're kind of on your own.
I don't think that Mormons do that.
Okay, a lot of things
I have friends that
true.
were like raised. I have friends that were raised Mormon that aren't in the church anymore, and they still have relationships with their families. They might be like somewhat fractured. I don't think it's like the extreme of Scientology. Or
They
like,
still have relationships, but they will not share the same heaven when they're dead.
Yeah, they do believe that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that.
You don't want to spend eternal life with your mom.
Yeah, I mean.
I think Don Hodiak has to have a St. Bernard named Gus.
Yeah.
Now, don't worry. We'll have Gus 1, Gus 2, Gus 3.
Not a husky?
Sure. Yeah, that's what you'd expect.
Oh, you want the unexpected.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm picturing a dog sled where he's running and the dogs just get to ride in the back.
That's
you know what I mean?
that's on the t-shirt right
Dog's
there.
got to be drinking a beer.
Yep.
Dog's drinking a beer.
And eating salmon.
That's
Smoked
right.
Salmon.
Don Hodiak, and he's got one of Don's loggers on a stick with a string holding it in front of Hodiak, who's trying to get it with his mouth. Right?
Smart.
Nice.
Goes 100 miles an hour.
All right. What else? Yeah, San Francisco is a piece of shit. They're going to have to change. Look, Blue City, sorry, it just doesn't work. You got to change.
Just for 2 seconds, when they asked me when you do your dry bar, they go, we're going to put it on like Amazon Prime or something.
Yeah.
And they asked me what I wanted to call mine, and I had like no time to. It was like a conference call, and they go, what do you want to call it? And so I just trying to think of a funny. I go, what if we call my spec? It's really clean, you know. I go, what if we call it Jamie Lissow tries not to say the F word for an hour? And they go, nah, that's like still kind of dirty. And so I go, what if we call it? Is it Mormon here or is it just me?
Oh, that's funny.
Wasn't called that either.
No, but that's good.
Yeah, they shot both down.
So did you do one?
Yeah, it's called Something Awesome. It's on Amazon or something.
Wait a minute. Dry bar should be on YouTube and then on the Dry Bar page.
I haven't checked into it in a while.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Well, we'll get.
I think it might have been. I did it a long time ago. I was like back when they first did it. But I think you're right. It's that new. There's the app, right? They got the. Is it on YouTube? Okay, that's different than Amazon Prime, right? Just checking if. Okay.
It is? Okay.
All right.
Because I tried to order a whole thing of cashews from YouTube the other day. I'm still waiting, so maybe that's what the issue is. Because I'm with you. I didn't know there was a difference. All right, what else we got, Elisha Krauss?
All right, well, if we're talking about religion, can we talk about how this is like very heartwarming? This NCAA baseball team stopped caring about winning to focus on Jesus, and then they went to the World Series. This is fun. Apparently, the players added scripture to play call wristbands as the team went from 1-6 start to the championship contenders. The college baseball team nearly saw Messiah University this year. So the Messiah Falcons made their way all the way to the Division III World Series championship earlier in June, and it was one of their most historic seasons ever. And they actually said it's because they started focusing on their like mental and spiritual health in the clubhouse instead of focusing on winning. I actually think that I feel like Arthur Brooks or other psychologists, I don't know, Jordan Peterson and others, there has to be something about like whether it's Jesus or another element of faith, like when you kind of have a mental shift and maybe like take something out of focus or don't prioritize it as the most important thing of your life, then and other things around your life start to improve, then that thing improves.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there a psychology behind that?
Yeah. Don Hodiak's got to have a falcon. By the way, this team was the Falcons. You gotta do falconry too, right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah. Sorry, what were we saying about that team?
Right.
They're called the Falcons. That's all I got.
They were. The Knights and the
They pay
Falcons.
off an umpire or something and win
No,
the
they
series?
did not pay off an umpire because that wouldn't be
listening.
biblical.
Oh, okay.
I always wonder in sports when there's a God element. I've seen a UFC fight where both guys are like, God's going to help me win. What does he do? What does God do?
Who does God root for in the Super Bowl?
Does that just cancel it out? Yeah.
Yeah.
And should he be doing something more important?
Probably.
Yeah.
Is that like an annoying text you're getting from a friend that keeps coming in? Is that like...
Yeah. Do you guys do... Okay, let's see how honest we can be here.
Okay.
UFC is it's a kind of an interesting yardstick to sort of measure your biases, you know? Because I think if you take your average human being, or just let's say American, and two UFC guys go into the ring, right? One guy's black, one guy's white, right? I will root for the underdog normally. I'll see whoever has the worst record,
100%.
that's I root for. But
Unless they're an American. Then I'm like, let's go America.
Then if the American guy and the other guy's Croatian or something, then you go with American.
American, yeah.
And then like if the black guy's American and the white guy's Croatian, then you're going to go with the black guy. But if the black guy is from America and the white guy's from America, and the white guy's from Sherman Oaks, Van Nuys area, and I go, that's not too far from North Hollywood, then I might vote for him. But and I'll even do things on tattoos. I'll take the least tattooed guy.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
there.
really hard to find.
Yeah, well, like I said, least. You know, they may all be tatted, but I'll take the guy with less.
He's got a short sleeve. You know,
Yeah,
just
right. Short. He's got a wife beater tat instead of a long sleeve. So the point is, and eventually, when all other options are exhausted, I'll just go with the white guy because that's all I got left at a certain point. I did. It's just a white guy and a black guy. I've exhausted every other possibility. I got to pick a winner. I got to root for one of them. And I'm done with everything else. They have the same amount of tattoos. They're both from the Van Nuys, Sherman Oaks area. They both have the exact same
They're
record.
both American.
Neither one are favorite. Yeah, they're from the Van Nuys, Sherman Oaks area.
I go to this is the female emotional person in me. I'll be like, I'll look at their Instagram and I'll see if they're like married with kids, and then I think that's really sweet. So I'm like,
right.
they're like a family guy.
I
like that.
Oh, I got one more that I need to exhaust. I'll always go for the dad bod versus the chiseled guy.
I was just gonna say that. I was just if there's a bodybuilder and a guy with a little gut, I want that other guy to win.
But once I exhaust it all.
Yeah.
Do you ever root for the old guy because Manny Pacquiao was about to fight a guy that was like
the gatekeeper,
born 6 months after Manny Pacquiao like had his very first fight?
Do you root for the old guy now that you're older? Because I absolutely root for
100%.
anybody that's in like their 40s in the UFC. I go, this guy.
Oh yeah, no.
You're saying all equal. You're saying all equal.
I went to both of their pages. They're both loving fathers of twin girls.
I don't know if there's a cop out.
Once it's all gone. And I got nothing left.
You're going like it.
I'll just go with the skin color.
I don't know if there's a cop out, but I hope they tie.
It's a draw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just majority.
I don't
draw.
know. Listen. Mexicans would definitely go with the Mexican dude.
But it doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with
that. We like cheer. That turns into a Dos Equis commercial. So why can't I go with the white dude? Everything's exhausted.
Yeah.
The Mexicans always would go with the Mexican guy.
Just not a Russian one. Just not like a Russian one. There's like a lot of those.
But you can't keep... All right, but both of them are Russian now, right?
Well, then I'm rooting for them both to get knocked out.
Elisha Krauss, you understand the scenario.
I do
that one's not from North Hollywood and the other's from... I didn't go to high school, the other's from the Soviet Union, because then I would vote for the black guy who went to North Hollywood. It's once, everything is the same.
I appreciate your honesty.
You understand this, Jamie, right?
I understand completely. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I understand completely.
You can't answer it.
It's very hard to answer because everything I'm going to say is changing a variable.
Yeah. Everything's the same. And then again, like I said, if it was a Hispanic guy and it was a Dos Equis commercial, then the guy would root, and they'd like it, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's no problem with that. Who did Cain Velasquez, the Spanish Mexican heavyweight thing? He had a big tattoo just said "Brown Power" on his chest, and all the Mexicans would go nuts when he came in. And so, Brock Lesnar had a big white power on the back, and I was like standing up screaming. That'd probably be a different optically.
So different
yeah. Right?
Do you guys watch chick fights? Because my husband and some friends will have fight night, and they'll come over and we get takeout and like stick the kids on a Disney movie and like we'll watch fights and stuff. And sometimes like the fights before the main card are really good, but I can't bring myself to watch two chicks fighting.
Yeah, tough to watch. I have a thing where I was a huge UFC fan, and I watched almost every single pay-per-view, every single fight night.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine was fighting in the Alaska Fighting Championships, where I imagine you'll do the announcing.
Oh, yeah.
Don,
The face of the Alaskan Fighting Championships.
And seeing it in person, it was very hard to watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Because I saw him get kind of hurt, and his son was sitting with me, 8 years old, and for some reason, it kind of ruined it for me. So I with you that I would have trouble watching girls fight even back then when I was a huge fan.
Yeah, you said to the boy like after the third round, let's go home and play some Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah,
See if we can just unwind a little bit here.
I go, let's go home with the other guy.
Let's get a little first-person shooter game and see if we can just kind of change our mindset over here.
Yeah,
let's go kill some cops in my living room. Oh, brown pride is what Cain Velasquez says.
Okay.
So I would, with Lesnar, just say white pride. And
it wasn't even like brown power.
It's just brown pride. I had the P part, but I forgot the rest. So he is brown pride, and all the Mexicans go nuts. So Lesnar does white pride, and then I stand up and cheer. So I feel that feels healthy to me, or at least universal. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
He's got a little bit of the dad bod there.
Yeah, all the Mexicans have a little bit of the dad bod, which is nice. That's what makes them angry.
I feel like a lot of those guys train for UFC. Like now they're training for mixed martial arts. Back in the day, it used to be a little bit of body refining, bodybuilding, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Velasquez he's a beast, man.
To be fair, and Elisha, what you were saying, I do not want to see two women get into the octagon and beat the shit out of each other.
Right, and I identify as a feminist, but that doesn't seem like can't we be better than that? Like I feel like there is differences. There are major differences, physically, emotionally, whatever, between men and women. Like I don't want to see women acting in that brute.
Yeah,
way.
I think you're misinterpreting. I don't want to see two women beating the shit out of each other. We'll watch a guy beat the shit out of a woman in the octagon. So I'm kind of going. I'm going a little deeper. I think you thought I was going another.
Yeah.
I didn't finish.
I
watched Cain Velasquez open a can of whoop ass on a bitch. Yeah, that'll pay for it.
Guy with like a male pride tattoo.
Male pride.
White male pride tattoo.
That's right.
And a wife beater. Beating
literally a wife beater. All right, let's see. Raymond Arroyo is waiting in the wings. Good dude. See him all the time on Fox, right?
On Laura's show.
Laura's show. See him on Laura's show all the time. Very funny guy. Interesting guy. All right, we'll take a break. We'll bring him in. Elisha Krauss. I'll give you a plug at the end, Jamie. You as well. Do a little one-on-one with Arroyo right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah, man, I got pipes. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Well, you know the jingle. They're in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offers friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge that you need to keep your car maintained and repaired and thus on the road. Good people. They got a cool hat. I wear it quite often. And I pick up all my parts from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Always did. So whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you'll find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, they are friendly. So stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today, or you can visit us online at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. Homes.com. Some might say Homes.com is the best home shopping site. It may be Homes.com's super comprehensive and transparent agent directory, or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home the best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com goes above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth info they need to to find the right home. Homes.com. I always look at homes.com because I'm kind of a geek with the real estate, and they're the best. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Ace Man, Flop Dog calling you from Denver. I got your 20-minute rant locked up for you. Elevator etiquette. Young chicks, the young dudes even, if you're on the elevator getting off on the third floor and you stop on the third floor, the people that are waiting are staring at their phone and they're bum rushing into the elevator before you even have a chance to get out. Get it on, dude. See ya.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Raymond Arroyo is in studio. Raymond, you will see all the time on Laura's show on Fox, but also doing really interesting interviews as well. Laura Ingram's show, obviously. Yeah. And I watch you, and I just watch, and I go, well, this guy's funny, and this guy's smart,
but...
No, I don't. But I don't
hear
know.
A but.
I don't know where I know him from. Like I don't know if I don't know him from stand up and things of that nature. No. So it's I don't know what category you put yourself into.
Isn't this the problem, Adam?
Yes.
I mean, look, I saw you with Shane Gillis and Dr. Drew at the Sony Theater in New York. Mm-hmm. And it was a night where I was supposed to go to a show. I heard you all were in town. I got a ticket and walked in. Just had drinks, watched it, had a hell of a time. Great time. I didn't think of you at that time as a stand-up comedian. Mm-hmm. I thought of you as a TV guy, a TV host.
Yes.
And somebody who did set pieces, but not a stand-up. And that night you convinced me you're actually a stand-up.
Oh, well, thanks.
And you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, but it was to be
I don't mean
fair,
to take over the show.
Fair to your brain, it was later on in life. It was radio and it's TV and lots of other stuff.
And that's how I've kind of stumbled in the other way. I started as an actor. I was in the West End. I was off Broadway. I was on Broadway directing, and then I hated touring. Hated it. The worst life you can have. And I decided I have to get out of this. And I became a third-string theater critic at the Associated Press. A friend of mine got me an interview there. I worked my way into hard news, covered the Capitol, started writing for Bob Novak. Remember Bob Novak?
No.
He was at Capitol Hill. He was the dean of the Washington Press Corps.
Oh.
Capitol Gang, Crossfire. You don't remember those shows?
Well, you have to understand, my background is poor dude from North Hollywood who wandered on a construction site, worked as a laborer, and then worked as a boxing coach later on. So I don't have
You had two TV shows when this show was on. You had two TV shows on cable when Bob Novak was doing Crossfire.
Yes, I do remember Crossfire.
And I helped produce that show.
I also formally had no interest in politics. My only interest in politics really is derived from people making bad decisions and ruining places I live.
And your life.
Yes, I don't really want to be involved with politics, but I had 14-year-old twins when COVID hit and their school was shut down. So now I've been thrust into politics because I then announced they should open the school, and now I'm in politics.
You're the bad guy.
I want them to not shut the school down, and then I have friends from high school have a 50-year-old family business called Tin Horn Flats about 2 miles from here in Burbank that gets a fence put around it because they shut down outdoor dining and they don't comply. And now all of a sudden I'm in politics, but I really just want to be left alone. But if I live in a place where people are making horrible decisions that affect me and my family, then I must be in politics.
But they keep making the bad decisions.
That's what I'm saying.
This is the problem. How much longer? Here, I'm going to ask the big question. I listen to your show often. How much longer can Adam Carolla stay in this state, in this city?
No, I'm going to be building in Nevada. I am building in Nevada as we speak. So Raymond, your background is diverse. You start off as
theater journalism.
Journalism. Where do you grow up?
New Orleans, where I live now.
Wow.
I moved back to New Orleans.
Everything about you is sort of interesting.
Surprising, isn't it? You don't think New Orleans, but that's why I'm born and raised in New Orleans.
You have a you're not L.A., New York kind of thing.
No,
Something is different in theater. So for you, like what roles and what productions?
I was Perchik in Fiddler on the Roof for 6 months.
So you
touring.
can sing.
Yeah. And I still do a little bit. I did a Christmas album about a year ago. I'll send it to you. You'll love it.
Please. And I know
With the band.
you interview all these interesting people like Mel Gibson and Mother Teresa and folks like that. Now, I see Jerry Lewis here. And
have you ever seen that interview with Jerry Lewis?
Yes,
it was one of his last interviews.
Well, that begs a question then, which is, I don't want to make it about myself, but I had a guy, and I got in a problem with him, and I won't bore everyone with the story, but I sent out a tweet that was like a little bit of a slight on him, and then he wrote back, "Hey, man, why are you talking shit about me?"
Jerry Lewis did?
No, another guy.
Oh, another guy.
I was just making a joke, and then I wrote him back, "Sorry, I shouldn't have made that joke. You're right." And then 2 months later, he was dead. And I'm glad I didn't write back, "Mind your own business, fuck off." I wrote back, "Sorry, you're right," and then he died. And then, but I would have been haunted if I told him something horrible. And so Jerry Lewis gives like his last interview. He's a total douchebag, and then he dies. And in a weird,
but he wasn't a douchebag to me. He was a douchebag to the Hollywood Reporter.
That's my point.
Do you know why though?
When did you interview him?
I interviewed him I actually interviewed him a year before that illustrious interview where he said yes. No.
Right.
No.
And he was what year of age when you
90. He was 90 years old. The interview I did with him, he was ready to talk. The day before I arrived, you'll love this. I'm about to show up. The BBC was there the day before me.
At his home?
At his home to interview him about that movie, The Day the Clown Cried, that he never released. It was a piece of crap film.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I did. I saw clips of it. He showed me clips of it.
The one with the weird sort of Nazi clown
it's a
guard
clown
or something?
It's a clown taking children to the death camps, to the showers. It's not exactly, this isn't, the Family Jewels or the Nutty Professor.
Right, but what I'm...
The wicked clown.
But it exists.
Well, now they found a whole cut of it, but it's never been released. This was just, but anyway, the day before I arrived, BBC is there because they're doing a documentary on this film. He throws them out. He gave the guy 3 questions, threw them and the crew out. So I arrived, and they're like, "Take it easy. Jerry's throwing everybody out." Uh-huh. I walked in. It was his birthday. I brought him a box of Fanta. He loved that, that horrible orange drink, that Fanta drink?
Yes.
Orange Fanta. I gave him that, broke the water. From that moment on, it was like we were the best of friends. That interview, he's warm, he's sweet, but he was horrible to so many other people.
Oh, Fanta, which most people say Fanta.
I know.
I think that's what it is.
I was just in Nashville, and they said this. Well, I'm a New Orleanian. I'm allowed to say Fanta if I want to call it.
It took me a second.
And it's Fanta? Is that what it's called?
I hear Fanta.
I hear vomit. I would never touch it.
Here.
Oh, look, there he is.
There's certain things that people have, certain things like Mellow Yellow and stuff like that. I go, I'm from North Hollywood. It's not a thing we have. So you went in and you got on his good side and you had a good sit down with him.
I had done the research. I do take time. I don't just wing this stuff. I mean, I had folders on Jerry. I was ready. Uh-huh. I'd seen all the movies. I watched them all. I pulled all I did the whole thing. So when I walked in, he knew I was asking questions that were informed, and I could respond to him and counter him in ways that he respected. The other kid goes in and says, "Shouldn't you have retired a long time ago? How did you and Dean break up?" Oh, of course he's going to get pissed off. He's 90 years old. Come on.
Well, also, there is a thing where people, when you're being interviewed.
Yes.
And you realize that the person didn't take 5 minutes to do some sort of cursory bio on you to look up a couple of things. When that happens, you realize this person doesn't really care and is not really interested, and this isn't a big deal to this person. So that's kind of what
that's
you
what
do.
happened. It's disrespectful. And some people are more He had nothing to push. Jerry, I'd been wanting to interview him for a long time. He finally acceded to the interview. Well, you go in there, you got to be ready to interview Jerry Lewis. So we did the whole career. It was great and fun. And he's warm and cutting and nasty. We made news. He endorsed Trump in the interview, which was crazy. Yeah, it was a wild time.
What was Mel Gibson like?
Mel, I've known Mel for 20-something years, so it's hard to say what he's like. Mel is a mad genius. I mean, Mel has this visual sense, Adam, that other people don't. He sees these images and then he so the whole filmmaking process is him trying to recreate this thing he's got in his head, and it's so clear to him. It's white hot blaze for him. He's got to create just that. And he's a madman on set. He's far more interesting than anybody he's directing when he's on the set. He's a fascinating guy. He's got a bold vision. I mean, look, any of his film, Apocalypto, Passion of the Christ, it all holds up. And he's doing The Resurrection now. He's working on that.
How did it come about with you and Laura Ingraham? How did you become a staple of her show?
I walked in to do a book interview. I had a book on that I'd written. We did the interview. We did the segment. At the break, she said, "Can you stay? You want to stay for another segment?" I guess it went well. I said, "Yeah." And then we went into another segment, and then we just started talking about news of the day. It clicked. You know that. You have that with Jimmy. You have that with Drew. You either have that chemistry or you don't have it. But if you have that click, you can really talk about any damn thing, and the audience will come back for it because it's a relationship they're there for. And that was, it really started in radio. Then Roger Ailes wanted us to do a show back in 2008.
Wow.
And we turned him down. We did a summer version of it for 3 weeks, 5 o'clock slot, but she had just adopted a little girl. I just had a newborn, and we talked about it and said, this is bad timing. We're doing a radio show all day. I've got another show I'm doing on cable, and then we've got this. We will never be able to come up for air, and these children will be utterly ignored. So we told Ailes, no, we are the mother and father of Glenn Beck, I'll have you know, because he got the slot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's who got the 5 o'clock slot.
By the way, the podcast, Arroyo Grande, and it is out as we speak.
Yes, thank you.
And you can find it wherever you find finer podcasts.
Where are those found? Where are the finer podcasts?
I don't know, everywhere. I remember as a youth, they when they talk about, they do like a game show or a talk show in the 70s, and they go, Botany 500. You can get it at Sears and Woolworth and wherever you find finer men's retail. They go finer.
As opposed to those other crappy men's retailers.
Yeah, they just go finer. And I just thought, I'm just going to add that to everyone's book or podcast or what have you.
It gives it a little distinction. It's like fine Corinthian leather.
What
the hell is that?
Vinyl.
Did Ricardo Montalban ever tell us?
I don't think he ever knew. I think it was a paycheck. I think he probably drove Mercedes-Benz. and there was a time when it was very in vogue for car companies to talk about the other manufacturers and go, your Ford Granada, you'll be mistaken for driving a Mercedes-Benz. Like now they realize that comparing your car to better cars is probably not a good way.
Don't do that. Just talk about the fine Corinthian leather.
Yeah. No, you know what he'd say? He'd go, I love what they've done to my car. His car. It was his. They've done what they've done.
Ricardo's car.
That thing had opera windows in the back, a Landau roof. You imagine the gall of, in the 70s, upholstering the outside of the roof.
Well, you got to go. That's fine. Now, that's a finer trim.
Right, but my feeling is you guys can't invent a dashboard that doesn't explode when the sun hits it. You think upholstering the roof of the car, you think that's going to hold up?
That's a selling point. Well, you never know.
Oh, we have the commercial. That's what I love. I like the music. It's probably going to remind you a lot of your heritage, probably, right?
We've cushioned Cordova's ride with thick rubber mounts at all suspension points.
Our patented transverse front suspension keeps Cordova's ride luxurious.
Cordova. To drive it is to experience the pleasure of a truly road-worthy automobile in the Chrysler tradition of luxury. Yes, even rich Corinthian leather. Chrysler engineering achieves fuel economy for the times. Styling in timeless good taste. You owe yourself a ride in this new, smaller Chrysler Cordova. I like what they've done to my car.
Oh, God, you got the call line. I forgot that part of it.
I
like what they've done to my car. I love how he rubs the seat like it's his mistress. He gives it, gives it a nice rub down.
Like a genie was going to come out of the glove box.
Very sensual, Ricardo. He was the Latin lover in the movie. All those
what
movies.
is your ethnicity or heritage?
Spanish. Ricardo and I get on. Well, he was Mexican, but my father was from Spain, from Barcelona. Grew up in Guatemala. My mother's Sicilian, so you know that.
Paisan.
That part of the
came here to do what?
Here to New
Orleans.
My father, when I walked in here, I felt so at home. You know why? My father had an auto mechanic shop for years in New Orleans that I swept and had to change the damn brake.
And you wanted to go to Broadway?
Well,
he must have been devastated.
No, he wasn't actually. He knew there was, when you're doing lines and singing in the garage, it's time to move on. But even now you look at his hands. Those are the hands that put me through school. Mm-hmm. And so I have such respect and love for building things and taking care of the things you're given. My father, even now, you break a handle, he's like, don't go replace that. Give that to me. I'll fix it. Right. We're going to fix it. The hell with it. We're not paying them again. We paid them once. That's it. Then, he goes and fix it. I love that idea, and he kind of gave that to me. So, look, it's like you. You put the time in. Even if you're doing this is your product, and you shape it, and you give time to it, and you because you're creating it for the audience and for the people who are your consumers. And keeping, that was important to him. So he was a great guy. That's how he founded, built our family in an auto mechanic shop. My mother's father was a restaurateur in New Orleans. Had a great Italian restaurant, Tony Angelo. So
you grew up with that?
Oh yeah, yeah. So those are my two worlds: auto mechanic and an Italian restaurant. It was quite a world.
But I'm so jealous of the pragmatic dad, mom. When I say pragmatic, I mean this. Okay, I don't want to make this about me, but you're gonna have my grandmother was a counselor at the VA. You know what I mean? There's nothing to use. You know what I mean? Like when people go, my parents had a liquor store.
People, though
I know, but it doesn't benefit me. I'm saying I can't go there and eat for free.
You could get an extra benefit if I was how do you work
veteran,
this right? How to work the
your
system?
Your car broke down in high school. Your dad could fix it.
He could.
You wanted to go out to a cool Italian place, you could go, right?
Yeah. Well, and my grandfather was like he'd have judges at one table, and Sinatra would come in, and he'd have the local mayor,
and you had a job if you needed it,
right? But you know what? My father would never let me work in the restaurant.
He wouldn't.
No, he didn't like the people who worked there. Isn't that something?
Really?
Yeah. At that time, you had waiters. That was their career. They were waiters. Right. And after hours, they were out gambling. They were, they had a kind of seedy edge, but they dressed well. They came in, and then they go drink all night.
Right.
And he didn't want me around that element. That's what he said. I don't want you around that element.
But
I said, what do you mean? They're great people.
So I would assume that your dad's politics were sort of conservative because there's folks that have pragmatic jobs, literally nuts and bolts in this case, but who do work, they're not pie in the sky with everyone needs a seat at the table and treated with dignity and nobody's illegal. And no, it's a disco. Look,
don't bring up the illegal with my father. My father was a naturalized citizen and served in the Marines. Right. And then, so he earned his way into America. He's to the right of Pat Buchanan on immigration. But on politics in New Orleans, Adam, we're not a political people. I go to dinner with Donna Brazile and James Carville and Mary Madeline. I mean, we go out together, and we get along. Like you and Jimmy get along. We can disagree with things, but not when we're at the table. Not when we're spending time together.
I agree with that.
It's a different animal. And that's New Orleans. We have so much else that holds us together. We don't worry about politics.
Is it New Orleans? I've talked to people.
You've been there?
I've been there more than once, but it was Grand Marshal of a parade. Jimmy and I were. But
which one? Do you remember?
Which parade?
I was Grand Marshal of Endymion. Was it Orpheus, Endymion, Bacchus?
Well, maybe we can find a picture of me and Jimmy in pirate outfits on a pirate ship float, and maybe you'll know.
It might have been Endymion.
With your heritage. Okay. I didn't really sweat the details. Okay. Tommy Lasorda was supposed to be the Grand Marshal. He dropped out last minute. And they called Jimmy and I in, but they didn't have time to change the face on the beads.
So you were throwing Lasorda beads?
I was throwing beads with a Tommy Lasorda medallion.
Oh, yeah. They have and then the doubloons. They have the doubloons with their faces on it.
I threw beads with the doubloon that had the medallion on the bead was Tommy Lasorda's
And you didn't get your own. There was not enough time. You were the last-minute fill-in.
They'd already printed up.
Oh, God.
They'd already made the Tommy Lasorda beads.
Takes time.
You need a little lead time.
Yeah, it takes weeks. Yeah, they gotta do that.
They didn't have that kind of time, or maybe that kind of budget.
But you had a good time, and you got the pirate outfit. So what the hell?
Yeah, I think I had to give the outfit back, but I did have fun throwing beads at everybody because I marveled at the kids up on top of the A-frame ladders with the basketball hoop, and their face was the backboard, essentially. So I'd try to bounce it off their forehead. And
Clunk. See how many knots you could raise on foreheads, which happens a lot, by the way.
Oh, I played high school baseball, and I loved throwing stuff. So I was on that pirate ship. I was going deep. Everyone was going deep, man, and I was going nuts. But then when they got the beads, it had Tommy Lasorda's face on it. So
he takes the blame.
We would
give him the rap.
The people were confused when they'd look at it, and they'd look up, and I could hear them like yelling but the boat was going by. So I'd go, I don't know. You got to. I don't have an answer for why Tommy Lasorda. And by the way, I don't even know if it said Tommy Lasorda. It just was Tommy Lasorda's
Just the
head.
face of Lasorda.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Which is hard to recognize exactly.
Well, look, this is a good alibi for you. Now that's why there's an ordinance in New Orleans. You have to wear a mask. And the reason you wear a mask is if you get hurt from a bead flying or a doubloon going in somebody's eye, you can't identify the thrower. So it's a city ordinance that all the riders have to wear masks. You were Grand Marshal, you didn't have to. But, so having Lasorda on your merch is actually, your swag clears your name.
Did they go down anywhere near where you were? Like, they just go down streets and side streets and through neighborhoods and stuff?
No, there's a route. There's a route for every...
But people live on the route.
Yeah, some people live there. So
well, I'm asking you, did you live anywhere near the route?
No, I did not live on the route. No, I was in Metairie, Old Metairie. We're the next town over, 5 minutes from downtown.
And then you went to high school out there?
High school there, went to the NOCA, where Harry Connick went, and the arts high school there.
Oh,
Ellis
the arts
Marcellus
high school.
taught there. But I went to Brother Martin, which is a Catholic boys' school as well. And I split my time between the two. 8 classes, and then hightailed it to the arts high school for the afternoon.
For the training?
Yeah.
Singing?
Dancing.
Dancing. Instruments?
No instruments.
Just singing and dancing. Shakespeare?
I did it all.
Wow. So starting at what age?
14.
So at a young age, you're in the arts.
Yeah.
And then it's off to off-Broadway?
And look, I had a very weird version of the arts. My grandparents, I told you my grandfather had a restaurant in New Orleans. My grandmother, and he had season tickets to the Sanger, which was a big, beautiful theater in New Orleans. Well, on a Saturday night, he was with his mistress, the restaurant. He wasn't coming with her. So guess who had to accompany his grandmother to see the shows? It was either me or my brother or my mother. One of the three of us got. So I saw Ethel Merman, Carol Channing, Rex Harrison, Richard Burton, Elizabeth Taylor. I saw all these people live in the flesh. So when you see that kind of talent, you think, oh, this is what Broadway is. That's not what Broadway is. that was the fumes, the high points of the last 3 decades before I was born. I got to see the back end of that. The problem is what was next was nothing like that. So I was kind of deceived into what, it was a bit of a bait and switch.
You thought you were going into old school Broadway.
I thought I was going to old school Broadway, the great songs about people who were in love, and then I didn't realize we were doing social causes and taking down, Mao's revolution. It's the future.
Right, yeah.
It was not it's not about social change. It was about people in love. Every musical, every play is really, Adam, about people in love or out of love or trying to find love or hating love. One of those, but that's the basic, the foundation. But that's not what Broadway is today. Today it's about self-expression or, my appetite, my sexual predilection. It's everything but what ties us together, the humanity that holds us together. And that's what I loved about the theater.
Well, let's try to examine that arc.
Hold on now here, Doctor.
Well, I do
Hold on, I got to get my couch.
You go, what's going on these college campuses today? And you go, I go, well, who's attracted to this profession? Who is teaching on college campuses? Right. And I always say, tenure, professor and tenure, that's as close to socialism as we have in this country. Yeah. It really is, because your dad had to go keep his shop open and your grandpa had to keep his restaurant open.
Keep the food good.
Everything is hustle, hustle, hustle.
Yeah.
Tenure in college campus is really kind of close. It's their version of socialism in its sort of utopia form, which is everyone gets paid, never get fired, there's always a place to go.
You're not accountable to your customer.
It doesn't matter.
On what level? It doesn't matter.
They can't fire you.
No, your kid comes out a freak,
Make
guess
a good
what?
living, everyone likes you, fine. And then you just get up and you talk. You don't do anything, you don't build anything, you don't fix anything, you just talk and you get paid and they can't fire you. So then it attracts that group.
Yes.
And when that group, when it comes time for them to talk, they're going to say something very differently than what your dad would say.
Yeah.
Because your dad is attracted to a different business and comes from a different world. So after several decades of attracting those people, then the people they're talking to are going to leave with a different message than the ones. And I would argue that Broadway probably underwent the same transformation.
Well, and here again, I studied with a woman named Stella Adler.
Sure.
Stella Adler trained Marlon Brando.
Right.
She brought Brando into class one day. I was her last class. I had her for 3 years, and then she retired. I think I killed her.
I saw him, that movie where he was screaming her name.
Stella! Well, not wrong Stella, but yes. And he loved that Stella better. He loved Stella Adler better. But Stella trained us in old school where you were creating a character and you were doing it for the audience. Again, you're serving the audience. You're serving the play, not serving yourself and your social agenda. That's not my job, not as an actor. So and that's where the theater has gone wrong. That's why they can't fill theaters. I mean, yeah, they bring Denzel Washington. They've got the biggest Broadway box office. Yeah, it's the biggest Broadway box office they've had, but not because of audience, because the ticket sales have quadrupled. You got $1,000 a pair of ass, the seat.
Really?
$1,000 a seat. Who is worth that, Adam? Who is worth $1,000? Give me one person you pay $1,000 for.
So that's interesting because you say, I saw the thing, George Clooney broke $4 million in 1 week, but I thought, wow, what great attendance. But you're right, the tickets are $5,000.
Yeah.
That's why he broke the record.
Yeah, the seats are, the theater, it's the same number of seats. The only way you can make that kind of cash with the limited number of shows that you have today is if you're charging exorbitant fees, which they are.
Well, so then...
Which makes it inaccessible to working class people like my parents who took me in the first place.
Broadway has then essentially followed the same trajectory as college campuses. If you think about it, they were different in the 50s, the 60s, and then they started to turn. And there's an edict that changed, which is every performer, especially blowhard singers, think it's their job, Bruce Springsteen, to explain to the audience all their politics and who they should vote for, and they have to weave it into every conversation. The commencement addresses at the college now. You're supposed to get up there and uplift the kids and give them a message of hope and encouragement, and you have to bloviate about Trump or whatever politically, whatever you're doing. So it is bled and infected every realm now.
And we just want to see the show.
Yeah.
Just sing the song and shut up. I saw Frank Sinatra 30 times in concert.
30 times.
30 times. Loved Frank Sinatra from the time I was a kid. Loved him. Not once did he ever, not one time did he ever say, I love Ronald Reagan.
Right.
Now, during campaign, he did campaign events for Reagan. But during concerts, he didn't go beat his audience. Why? He knew he had Democrats in the House. Why cut your audience in half?
30 times. What a magical youth you had between the free Italian food, the break jobs.
You had a great granddad too. You know how important grandparents are.
No, I know, but he never spent any money. We never have any tickets to anything. He did. I will say this about Laszlo Gorak. He was a member of the Writers Guild. He occasionally would get free tickets. And speaking of musicals, they were having a free screening for Writers Guild members of the movie The Wiz, the black version
with
of
Diana
The Wizard
Ross.
and
Michael Jackson,
Nipsey Russell.
Yes.
And my grandfather said we have free tickets to The Wiz to go to the. Yeah, and the sad part is it was a big deal, but it really would just be like you paying $3 and going to a matinee of a theater of a movie you wanted to see. I didn't really want to see The Wiz when I was 11, but I went anyway because it was free, and it was like a big deal that he got free tickets to go see The Wiz.
It's an event.
It's an event.
But it cured you of ever wanting to go near musicals. Am I right?
Yes.
I knew it.
No, I love
that one will do it.
I love musicals.
Which ones?
Let's see. I have seen. I like the old school.
Me too.
Oklahoma ones. Basic nuts and bolts. Meat and potatoes kind of stuff.
King and I.
I've not seen The King and I.
Oh, great musical, beautiful music.
I did see. I think I saw Miss Saigon in England, and maybe even out here. And I've seen a few Broadway plays, mainly just because. David Alan Grier was in one called Race. I think it was a Mammoth play, actually.
Yes,
it was.
On
the show, and I went. He gave me. I was going to say free tickets.
$3 tickets?
No. He gave me free ticket, and then I invited a friend of mine who lived in New York. I got tickets from David Alan Grier, and I went to the box office. And the guy's like, here's your ticket. And I'm like, well, this guy stars in the production. There's only like 3 or 4 people. And he said he's going to leave me tickets. And they said, well, it's only a ticket. And I said, okay. And this is a long time ago. I go, how much are tickets? And they go, $160.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at the guy invited. And I'm like, this is a lot of money for 15 years ago. But I invited you, and I'm like, I just paid it. And so
there's, it is an event. You got to look at it as an event. But when you mentioned, King and I saw Yul Brynner in King and I live in person.
What was Sinatra like? When's the first time you saw Sinatra?
I met Sinatra at my grandfather's restaurant when I was 18 years old. Oh, my
God. What a childhood.
I was a fanatic about Sinatra. Sinatra in concert, Adam, the lights would go on, the music would play, the room would stop when he walked out. I've never felt or seen that with any other performer. It was electric. That moment before he walked up to the mic and said anything, people literally held their breath. It was unbelievable. He was magical. He was a great actor. He was a great actor who sang. Sometimes the voice was, he couldn't quite hit the notes anymore. Didn't matter. He was Frank Sinatra, and he brought it all. He poured his heart into every lyric. He was great. Nobody like him.
30 times you saw him.
30 times.
And Yul Brynner and The King and I.
Yeah. Greatest bow I ever saw. He would bow. He walked out. He had cancer at the time. I gave you a hell of a performance. He was incredible.
You ever see his PSA?
Yes.
Don't smoke one?
Yeah. Remember that terrible, dark, boy, that went dark fast. The lung cancer
he's
and
basically just going, hey, by the time you see this, I'm dead.
Yeah.
So don't smoke.
Very grim. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he it was an incredible. He was electric. Guy had magnetism. Great in the theater. Incredible.
Ethel Merman.
I saw her at the Blue Room, which was a little club in New Orleans. There's a Fontainebleau Hotel. There's a Blue Room. And again, my grandmother had tickets. My grandfather, and I'm not going to see that loudmouth. So I got to hear Ethel Merman's show. No mics necessary, Adam.
She was
the whole routine. The big with the band, and she was incredible.
She was in Mad, Mad, Mad World.
Yes, and that's Airplane. Right. Remember?
Oh, I forgot she was in Airplane.
They walk into the psych ward, and there's Ethel Merman, and the doctor goes, "Poor guy, thinks he's Ethel Merman."
Oh, that's right.
And then she goes, "Everything's coming." They sedate her, and she falls over. It's great stuff.
Wow, what a interesting.
So that's what's rattling around inside, Adam. It's all of that. When I see a show, when I want to see a show, that all comes with me. You want to bring classic entertainment. You want people to have a good time. You want families to do it, which I notice your comedy is moderated a bit. I think it's a little more family friendly than it was before.
Well, I did 2 dry bar specials, and those have to be
clean as a whistle,
super clean. And so I was having to go through and tidy up my act.
Was that hard?
It's like anything. It was kind of hard at the beginning, and then it became easier with repetition. And ultimately, it wasn't for me, but because I've done lots of different formats, and so I could wrap my head around it and figure it out. And I did, and they came out real good, and you guys should watch them. And I think I'm going to do a third coming up pretty soon. No, it was a process with a little bit of technique, and the only thing I want to say to people is it wasn't about cutting out the F word and the S word. It was about the premises. The premises were sort of adult premises, and I don't necessarily mean sexual. I just mean the thought was sort of adult, you know, and that's the part that's tough to overcome.
Particularly when you're used to that. I mean, telling those jokes and knowing the rhythm of the joke. I mean, it's a little like a song, a good joke, right?
Yeah, so you had to stop and kind of break it down and reevaluate, which is good. It's a good habit.
Did you take it on the road a little bit before you did the Tri-Bar special?
You know, it was. I had a funny experience, which is I would play. You know, I'd play some theater in Casper, Wyoming. You know, and I was. You know, I had 10 days before I was going to shoot my Tri-Bar special. And then I realized these people bought a ticket to see me, and they didn't want to hear 40 minutes of G-rated stuff. Not that the stuff was bad, but that's not exactly what they bought their ticket for. And so I couldn't really give them 40 minutes of G-rated Provo, Utah material. So I would try to break off 5 minutes and 10 minutes and sort of scatter it, but then you can't run it in order. And then the last place I was, which was the Ice House in Pasadena, this was like 2 days before shooting the Dry-Bar special. It was a local crowd. You know, it's not like I was getting paid a ton. It was in a theater. And it was, you know, Tuesday night or something. And I just got up there and I said, look, I'm going to level with you. I'm going to do 40 minutes of clean material. And everyone started booing.
What?
I know. They started booing me. I mean, not booing me, but they're like,
they didn't want to hear. Well, don't, you don't want to open
so
that
then
way.
I was like, all right. So I did 3 minutes of something filthy dirty. And they started laughing, and then I just went into the 40 minutes, and they didn't know that I'd gone into the 40.
It was the advertising that killed me.
It killed me. And then I ran. I know. And then I ran it. That's the only time I ran it. So that made it, you know, challenging, I think. But I had it, and it was fine. And it was a good experience.
You still enjoy it?
Yeah, I love the process. I like where I am.
The challenge.
I think of something. Well, the challenge is you go, oh, I got an idea. Oh, I got and then you have to kind of beat it out a little bit and shape it and figure it out. And then sometimes you go, I got a good idea, but I know it's just not performing or landing or whatevering. And yeah, it's a very human process, I think.
Well, this prepares you for a little of that. I mean, when ideas and concepts come to you, you just run them here. You do, you do try things out. I mean, that's what we do on Ingram. I mean, I write that stuff out. People think that's improvised, or they ask about that we did this thing of Abbott and Costello knockoff, the Who's on First Stick. But people thought it was real. It wasn't real. We scripted the whole, it was in the teleprompter.
Yeah, but you do, I mean, I watch as a, audience member, but also as a professional, and I go, well, he's worked this stuff out, which is fine, and he's executing it
a little bit. We work some of it out, and then I leave holes.
Yeah.
That's how so it's not all scripted.
No, but I can tell when you land something,
and
then that begs a question: are you going to start doing stand-up?
Have you been doing stand-up? That's rough.
You can do it.
That's rough. I could probably do it. I'd like to do it. Maybe I'd do an evening if I can do songs and stories. I would probably do.
Well,
it scares me. I got to tell you, I think
all
it's scary.
Your stage experience, you could do it.
You think?
Oh, for sure. I know you could. Okay. I would say the same to like Gutfeld. I said, Gutfeld, I know you think you need visual aids and a slideshow and a sidekick and stuff like. You really don't. You just have to sort of do it.
Yeah, have the guts to go out.
But it feels weird going out there.
Well, you're alone.
Well, you're like a guy who goes out there with a guitar and does a funny song and then talks for 20 minutes and then does a funny song.
Well, see, that I could do.
Right, but it's really just the huggy blanket of feeling the guitar.
It's a crutch.
And it's, I don't want to say crutch. I'll make it a huggy blanket. But the point is what I would say to you is get rid of the guitar, go do it, and you will.
Okay.
That's what I want to say. All right.
You heard it here. Adam Carolla, the prophet.
Arroyo Grande is the pod. I'm going to be on it.
You bet.
Yeah, so we're going to do that. Available wherever you find finer podcasts.
Yes.
I'm going to be tonight at Kimmel's Club in Vegas doing shows, and then Friday, Saturday, 2 shows, both nights, 6 and 8 o'clock. then Irvine after that, then Covina, Laugh Factory. Go to AdamCarolla.com for all live shows. Dawson's going to be in one of my favorite places, which is the End in Torrance. Rock and roll, good barbecue, good fun. So go check out Dawson. That'll be this Sunday, right? At that.
That's right. Sunday with Darren Carter, stand-up show.
Darren Carter. Wow. Jamie Lissow, everybody. Laugh Factory and Punchline. And go to Jamie, Lissow is where you go. Elisha Krauss. You can check out her op-ed on the Washington Examiner. Till next time, it's Adam Carolla saying, mahalo.